Well, hello guys, and welcome back to another Genlock review. In this episode, we're taking a look at Season 1, Episode 7, It Never Rains. I'm like a week behind just to date the video, but midterms, what you gonna do? It's not that I'm not, like, looking forward to it after what happened last time. It's just I was more hesitant, I guess. But hey, as of the day this is going up, the season finale should also be up, so we'll get to that. I've got a lot to do this week. But no more stalling, let's actually get into the episode. So, at the end of the last one, I said I was expecting a time skip, or I wouldn't be surprised if they did a time skip. No, it's literally been like, I think they say that, at one point later on, they say that the attack on the anvil happened like yesterday, maybe the day before, so it's been 24, at most 48 hours, which is not that long at all, but they're still running. They've been attacked by the Union multiple times now. This is, so I said a few episodes ago that the one thing I wanted was a Kazu episode, because he's the character we knew least about being the muscle, and while we didn't get that, this is about the closest we've gotten so far, because we see Val playing guitar. It's, oh, I didn't know you could play, and she's like, I don't. It's basically she has his memories, and it's all done really organically. It's really well set up, and explains deeper how Genlock works and how this shared mind thing works. It's really well done. It's a really interesting concept. I mean, you could make an entire show out of this shared memory things. I'm pretty sure the Wachowskis did. It was just a pretty shit show from what I remember. Now, I will admit, Cammy does kind of take away from it because she basically blatantly says what actually happened, which is a little less organic. That's one of the problems with this episode. This episode does not get subtlety, which actually does work once, but it's also very, like, blatant about things, and we'll get to that when we get to that. But Chase goes scouting around, and he keeps hearing Nemesis's voice inside of his head. I have no idea what Nemesis said. I tried to put subtitles on like I normally do when Nemesis talks, but the subtitles just weren't loading for me. That was probably an issue on my end. So Nemesis could be saying anything. I just know Nemesis is tracking him. Okay, that's I guess all I'm taking out of it. But we get an air fight real quick and simple. It's basically all the fighting we're going to get for this episode. Because this is our Calm Before the Storm episode. Next time is the season finale, so I would say shit's gonna hit the fan, but shit hit the fan last episode, and this is both our respite after that and our build up to the next episode, which is actually a perfectly healthy thing for a show to do, and I'm glad they're doing it. So on that front, I don't have a problem with this episode. But Cammy figures out that because Nemesis can talk to Chase and that Genlock is all synced up, that's how they're being tracked, because they can't figure it out. So now what do? Do they save Genlock? Do they destroy it? They have no idea what to do next. Eventually Chase triggers Caliban, that's a reference, right? I hope that's a reference that I'm just not getting. Wouldn't surprise me. And Caliban basically plays Weller's death message and explains that Caliban has pieces of Weller's memory in him, so if they need, or Weller's knowledge, I mean, I think they could have said that it's just an older version of Weller's brain, or, like, they say it has chunks, like it lacks the subtlety and charisma of Weller, which, when I said subtlety not being in this episode, the one time it works is with Caliban. Caliban still has all of David Tennant's charms, just without the subtlety, and that does work in this episode. But yeah, David Tennant gives his last speech, and it's a really good speech. Like I said in the last episode, I thought David Tennant's death was handled really well, and this is just, yep, this is well done. Part of me still, I mean, yes, Caliban is Weller, so he's kind of not dead. Part of me still thinks he might be in the machine, ghost inside the shell, you know what I mean? But time will tell, we shall see. It's probably not going to happen, but... So they get instructions to go to a base, Artasa, which we'll talk about in a second. But as they're heading over there, we get a little heart-to-heart between Chase and Madrani. It's again, nice. It's a nice little moment. It doesn't do too much. I wish they had done more with it, honestly. But it's fine. They get to the Artasa base, which is just in the middle of the desert. And that's when, I remember, did I say it last episode, where I was like, I know Henry's going to come back, because he's the one he was the most developed, and he showed interest in Genlock. Henry's back. Yeah, no, he's still great. And they go inside Artasa, and I said I would bring back Artasa, and only for this moment, for this point. It's NASA, right? The North American Space Association. But this is Artasa, the Rogue Technology Aeronautics Space Association. I think that's it. Don't at me. But it's literally just Rooster Teeth and NASA mixed together. Now, that makes me sound like I'm complaining about it, like it's a bad thing, but I'm thinking about it more in like the way like when someone makes a dad joke, and you're just like, yeah, I totally get what they did. I mean, this isn't the first time they've done stuff like this. I don't blame them, but... And then this doctor comes out. I don't remember her name. Shit. Well, we get some from her, and we find out that she's Weller's ex-wife, which, that was not a twist I saw coming. That's, because he's never mentioned the ex-wife until, like, a minute earlier in the episode when Caliban says, oh, I've had warmer welcomes, my ex-wife. Ha ha ha, very clever show. And they're talking about, oh, what do we do next? We can still be traced. If we're staying here, this won't be unsafe. She talks about Hallcroft, and did he know, and how they used to be partners, and who knows. It's just talking about Genlock again. We're taking our sweet time with this episode, rightfully so. We see Hallcroft, presumably. I think it's Hallcroft. And now, I'm just gonna be honest, I don't trust this guy. Every instinct tells me just on how he acts, how he talks, how he walks, he is not to be trustworthy. But because of that, I think that's why we can trust him, because he's not supposed to be trustworthy. You get what I'm saying? Like, I don't like him, but that's kind of the point. He's super suspicious, but that's the point. He's supposed to be super suspicious because he's going to end up actually like being a hero. He then goes into an exposition dump explaining all the character bits about each one of our protagonists. Basically, this is the closest we will get to like a recap episode where for some reason if you hadn't watched the show and wanted to jump in the middle, this would be the closest we're going to get right here before the end, and it is entirely pointless. There is no reason for this to be here. There is no reason for him to go back and explain everything, some of which we already knew, some of which is brand new to us, mostly the Madrani stuff. But I think they could have done the Madrani stuff more organically. We had that heart-to-heart earlier on with Chase and Madrani. I think it would have been a lot better is if after that heart-to-heart ended, but before they got to the base, is if she went into a flashback of her own. Right, we saw this actually happen. I think that would have flowed a lot better. It would have actually shown us what happened, and it wouldn't have just come in this giant exposition dump. I do not like this exposition dump is what I'm trying to say. And then it's, what do we do next? Chase basically says that he wants to go after Nemesis, and Hallcroft is like, yep, let's do that. Let's get it out. They have to fix up the Holons, and Cammy's like, oh, we've got some new designs. What I have been wanting since the very beginning. Each Holon now has its unique design. They're now more distinctly colored, like the blue, gold, purple, red, and green are more pronounced now. Each Holon has its own look, because they're basically one and the same. I mean, Cammy, we saw when they went to the ether earlier on, Cammy played as the rabbit, so her Holon is the rabbit. Val's Holon literally has her hair. The Holons are now a mirror of the person who uses them, and that's what I wanted. It sucks that it's happening 7 episodes in. I mean, in a few, assuming there are more seasons, which we'll talk about here in a minute, it's not going to be an issue then, but right now, I wish this had happened earlier. But again, they're working with limited time here. And the main goal of this episode, in my opinion, was I've talked about the 5-man band on and off for a long time now. And we see it all here. We see especially Cammy and her heart roll. But the main one we focus on is Chase in his leadership role. Chase has never really felt like the leader until this episode. This is him stepping into his leadership role, and yeah, it was needed. We're now officially a 5-man band. So my problem, and this is something I realized after rewatching this episode for like the third or fourth time, is that this show is rushed. Not in like or at least it feels rushed right now. Not in like it's the pacing, the pacing's horrible. It's just we're doing so many things so fast. I mean, you could have spent a long time at the anvil, but it was destroyed at the end of the 6th episode. Why? You could have spent a lot more time there. You didn't need to destroy it. And that's the kind of rushed I'm talking about. These little character traits, like I said, Kazu's never had an episode. That's part of this rushed feeling. Having to do Madrani's backstory in an exposition dump right here before the final battle. That's our exposition dump. That's rushed of the show. It is a genuine problem. Now, to contrast that, if this was a limited series, I think this would be a lot less of an issue. I've bitched and moaned in the past about the unions being a nebulous threat, but in a limited series where, let's say, it's only 12 episodes and that's it. That's the end of the show. No more seasons, no more episodes. That's it. We're just in and out, one and done. A lot of these things would be a lot less of a problem because they only have 12 episodes to tell an entire show. But because this is presumably going to have more seasons, I have no proof of that. I will admit, I have no idea how well the show is doing, if we're going to get more seasons. I hope we do. I think there's enough here. And like I said, some of the problems I've had won't be problems in a few years when the show's kind of like stepped into its rhythm. But right now, I do think right now, in just one season, these are problems that I think would have been fixed by a limited series. Like, yeah, could they defeat the entire Union in just 12 episodes? Depending on how you do the pacing, actually, yeah. I mean, 5-man bands usually take on Demon Lords, so it's not that out of the question. But that's my main problem right now, is that it feels like they're either worried that they're not going to have another season. Maybe they're planning to do something completely different. I've talked about time skip in the past. It would be really interesting to see a time skip in which Genlock is more everywheres. I'm thinking of something like the ending of Killing Bites, where the technology is kind of spread all across the world, and what presumably might be a second season has completely different than how the first season was. Just taking a guess here, looking for something similar. Who knows? I am interested to see how we're going for the next episode. My one hope, nobody dies. I mean, we did all of our Death 2 episode. I even kind of hope some of the people who died come back. That's just a personal thing. But my main thing is, I don't want them to kill Nemesis. I am a firm believer in the trope that every villain can be redeemed. I hope they redeem Nemesis, or at least capture Nemesis and try to figure out what to do with it from there. We shall see, but that's my one hope for the next episode, because next episode shit's gonna hit the fan with Nemesis, and presumably it might be the end of let's call it the Nemesis arc at the end of the first season. I mean, we could go either way from here. I hope you all enjoyed. Stay tuned for more. Until next time, peace.